Chase at the 40. Look at that move. Look at Chase go. Oh, my goodness. What a gear.
He comes down to this in his car end zone. Intercepted.
McPherson. And Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl.
Toss here. Mixon's going to throw. Open man. Caught. Higgins. Touchdown.
Drives. Touchdown. Joe Burrow has his first rushing touchdown of the season.
Hooday, Bengal fans. He is Maan. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse, the heartbeat of our Cincinnati Bengals. Maan, big game this Saturday. Again, another tough opponent going into Foxborough is never easy. Mr. Belichick, he's always tough to beat at home. The weather is probably gonna be a little nasty out. But, Maan, I feel very good about this football game. I feel very good about our football team. Again, we've talked about this. This team is battle-tested. They are road-tested. And it's hard to have fear with this team anymore going into a football game. Because I feel like every time we take the field, we're the better team.
You know, Jake, we are the better team. On paper, it shouldn't be a close game. But you hit it right on the head about Bill Belichick. He's a defensive genius. You know, he worked under Bill Parcells. He was defensive coordinator there, and that's what got him the head coaching job. And arguably, he's top 1, 2, 3 coaches in NFL history.
Definitely,
he's the master at taking away your best player on defense. I think the Bengals are going to win this game. It's going to be a tough one, though. Listen, they doing research. I'm going to cover the defense here in a little bit, but they have some playmakers, and this is going to be one of the toughest defenses we've played all year. They're number 6 overall in the NFL, and it's going to be a challenge, but you hit it right on the head, mental toughness. This is a new breed of Bengal football team. They're not afraid of anybody, and I like our chances.
They have to play us, right? They have to play us. I love that new motto going through the locker room because it's true. It's true. I mean, this team just gets overlooked. It's incredible. All the time they get overlooked, and this football team just keeps responding. But I'm going to talk about the offense first. Again, the New England Patriots, they kind of caught fire there at the end of the year, and Mac Jones, there's a lot of talk about him, and he had a solid year towards the end. I know you're not a Mac Jones fan, but he did, and man, I think we're really starting to see that sophomore slump going on with Mr. Jones. He got hurt, he got banged up, then he got benched, and he's had a rough year, Mom. Has only thrown for 2,300 yards. His interception to touchdown ratio, 7 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Not very impressive. This team, we're going to talk about their offense here in a little bit, but they're one-sided on offense. I mean, if you can stop their run game, they are in serious trouble. Now, they do have a couple dudes back there. Both of them right now a little banged up. And Stevenson, who is their leading rusher with almost 1,000 yards rushing, 914 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. But where he really does his damage is in the passing game. On this guy, Ramondre Stevens, he's their leading receiver with 60 receptions on the year, 300 and something yards receiving. So again, a lot of checkdowns going on with this offense. And then you got Damian Harris, who I think everybody really thought was going to be the dude this year. He's been banged up. He's banged up right now. Both of these guys dealing with injuries. They're both questionable right now. But Damian Harris with almost 400 yards rushing. So between the two, you're looking at around 1,400 yards rushing between these two guys. And again, they do some damage out of the backfield, catching the football as well. So this Bengals defense has got to be able to stop the run game this week. You have Jacoby Myers, who everybody knows who he is now. I mean, I don't know what the hell he was thinking last week, throwing a lateral there on the last play, especially when you're tied. Just fall on the ball, going to overtime, Jacoby. I'm sure he learned his lesson, but he is their number 2 receiver, 52 receptions on the year, 640 yards. He is also banged up. Then you have Aguilar, Hunter Henry, who is really catching fire too. He's really starting to have a good year. 30 receptions, 415 yards from the tight end spot. You have Devontae Parker, who still has not practiced this week. He's still under concussion protocol. So not sure we're going to see Devontae Parker, but we all know who he is. Started with the Dolphins, really never took off. He's been solid, I would say, for the Patriots. He again has almost 500 yards receiving, so not too bad there. Kendrick Bourne is like he's like their fourth receiver. He has 273 yards receiving. So again, we're not seeing a lot of production through the air from this football team. Mac Jones, again, has really struggled throwing the football. But again, this team can run the football. They are very physical up front. And I think that's the one thing that we are going to see on Saturday, Maan, is a very physical game. This Patriots team, I've watched some of their games this year, and they have won the line of scrimmage in a lot of their football games, just bullying people and beating people up front. But the good thing is, obviously, with us playing in the North, we're used to it, right?
Yeah, you're right. The running back you mentioned, Stevenson, is a big back. He's a punisher. And you're right that they're going to try to control the line of scrimmage. They want to limit possessions for our offense. They want Joe Burrow on the bench. So I could see them trying to just ground it out, shorten this game. And the Bengals defensive line needs to step up because, they are going to do that. And I think overall, offensively, they are limited. And you are right. I don't like Mac Jones. There's something about that guy that just drove me crazy in college. I said it a few episodes ago. I wish I could throat chop the guy. He's just so annoying. He's just annoying to me. But you know what? The Bengal defense still has to be ready. The first half of that Buccaneers game, we talked about it last episode. I really thought the Buccaneers were the more physical team in the first half.
I did too.
And I don't want a repeat of that. I don't want a repeat. I'm going to talk about the defense right now. Listen, this is, to me, probably the best defense we've faced all year. I didn't realize how good they were until I started doing some research on here. They're sixth overall in the NFL in total D. And ninth, they give up 110 yards rushing a game. They give up 202 yards passing a game. Their turnover differential is +3, which puts them tied at 10th in the NFL. So they're pretty opportunistic. Inside the red zone, their defense, they've given up 34 total scores at an 82% rate, 23 TDs, and 11 field goals. That's better than the Bengals. The Bengals are at about 89%. But, you get into the red zone, you're going to score on these guys. And hopefully when the Bengals get in, they need to capitalize and get those touchdowns. But they have a lot of really solid players. Some names are going to be familiar to Bengal fans, especially this one, Matt Judon. Spent a lot of time with the Ravens. He signed as a free agent with the Patriots, and he has 14 sacks this year. Yeah. They have another linebacker they drafted out of Utah. I believe his name is Josh Uche, has 10.5 sacks. They have Dietrich Wise with 6.5 sacks. This team has over 40 sacks this year, so they are going to get after the quarterback. And, you said it before, Bill Belichick is the master of taking away your best player. Yeah. So he's going to put pressure on this offensive line of the Bengals. He wants to get to Joe Burrow. He's going to want to make him uncomfortable. Listen, our offensive line and defensive line both, they have got to be physical. They got to match the intensity because, as you mentioned a few minutes ago about the end of the Patriot game last week, I can guarantee you that they're going to be focused and dialed in because they're embarrassed, and Belichick is seeing blood after that embarrassing defeat. So they're going to give the Bengals their absolute best. But you know what? Like we said at the start of this show, this team is ready for that. They're mentally tough, and Zach Taylor's going to have his staff ready to get this. They're going to get this team ready.
Well, and again, we're a pretty physical football team too. So that I love this matchup for the Bengals. I really do, and I think it's one of those games where we are going to have to establish the run game. This team, I don't know if you said it or not, but this team has only given up 6 touchdown passes. Talking about the New England Patriots, and that so their pass defense is pretty damn good. We're going to have to run the football, but I love the matchup with Lou Anarumo really versus Matt Patricia, right? Because I'm not a big Matt Patricia guy. I don't think he's a very good coach. Again, that's no disrespect to him. I just don't see it. Their offense is really struggling right now. Crazy stat, Mon. Passing the football, the New England Patriots have thrown 12 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Wow. They have thrown 12 touchdowns in 14 games, Mon. 12 touchdown passes in 14 games. So this offense has really struggled. Again, they're 7-7 because of their defense. Because their defense is very good. It's very solid. That front seven, you mentioned it, with Uche and Judon. Those guys get after the quarterback. But again, this offensive line that we have now, we really need to we need to get out of that mindset of worrying about pass rushers. You know, we've seen it here the last, I mean, really in the what's it been, the last 8 games, maybe 9 games, where, you know, we might have given up a sack here and a sack there, but we're not seeing the 5 and 6 sacks a game. I think the last time we saw that was Cleveland, right? Which was 7 games ago. So, you know, this offensive line, let's start giving the Bengals O-line some credit, because these guys are playing really good football right now. So I think we're all still stuck in that mindset, because what we watched last year, and, you know, where every play Joe is dropping back, and us Bengal fans are like, we're gasping because we don't know what's going to happen next. I mean, you know, 70-something sacks later, including the playoffs last year, is just ridiculous number. But this O-line it's good, man. It's a lot better than what we're used to. So I just think we got to get out of that mindset of seeing these guys like Judon and Myles Garrett every week, and we're like, oh God, this is going to be one of those weeks where I don't see it. I mean, besides Jonah Williams having his struggles, this offensive line has played really good football.
You know, they have, Jake. They've improved dramatically on that. And on Twitter, Willie Lutz posted, I guess, the last 3 or 4 games for Jonah Williams. He's improved dramatically. No sacks allowed, which is that's good to see, because let's face it, he averaged this year, and it's good to see. Maybe he's turning the corner there. I guess the deal is the first half last week against the Bucs, not harping on it. I know we won the game, and it was a great victory for the team, but I saw glimpses of some of our struggles early in the season. You know, the Bengals were, 3rd and long. You know, they were getting only 1-2 yards on first down. I just don't want a repeat of that against these New England Patriots. I'd like to I want to see us win first down. Let's get 2nd and 3, and make it easier for us on 3rd down. I will say this game could turn into a Denver Bronco game. Remember the game we had last year against the Broncos? Yeah. Broncos had an amazing defense. They had no quarterback. Yeah. They struggled on offense. We went out to Denver. It was a battle. We won that game. It was a Kareem game where he stripped the ball from that quarterback, and Drew Lock, that was his name.
Yeah, Drew Lock.
And that was an absolute, just boxing match, back and forth, teams trading blows, close game. I could see something like that happening. The Bengals have the better roster. I think they have the better team, and they're going to eke this out. They're going to win the game. But it's going to be tough, man. Belichick is Belichick. You got to respect that. And I think it's going to be one of our tougher games. But I have I have all the confidence in the world that the Bengals are going to win.
Well, he's really the X factor, right? I mean, Belichick's kind of the X factor. I mean, it doesn't matter how bad his football team is. When you go to Foxborough, it's going to be a tough football game. I think when this year started, when we did our picks, which, by the way, I'm still in it, Mon. I said 13-4. I'm still in it. Come on, Bengals, run the table, baby. Give me the 13-4. But I think I had this as one of our losses, honestly, if I remember correctly, because I just know that going into Foxborough in December, late December, it's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, and Bill Belichick, he's the X factor. But I like I said, I think really the matchup here is Lou Anarumo versus Matt Patricia. Lou Anarumo to me right now is coaching better than any defensive coordinator in the NFL. He is definitely the best at halftime adjustments. There's nobody even close to him. So I really like this matchup. And, I'm going to throw out a stat real quick, because right now, since week 12, we have 2 of the top 5 D-line guys right now, according to PFF, you have BJ Hill at number 3 with an 83.0, and you have DJ Reader at number 4 at 82.1. Again, and I do want to mention this. Let's not forget, when we did our mid-season MVPs, who was one of mine? BJ Hill. BJ Hill has been playing lights out this year. He's getting overlooked a little bit because DJ Reader is the best nose tackle in football. But BJ Hill has played every penny worth of what we are paying him. He is an outstanding. We really have the 2 best D tackles tandem in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. Those guys are playing at a high level, and the New England Patriots are not going to be able to run the football against this Bengals team. And I think Lou Anarumo is going to approach it where, we're going to let Mac Jones try to beat us. And that's the way to beat this football team is take away the run, let Mac Jones beat you. It's not like they got a bunch of dudes on the outside. I mean, again, they got a couple guys, that are solid, I would say. But really right now, Hunter Henry's playing better than their receivers are. So, I just take away the run game and let Mac Jones try to beat you. Obviously, I think that's the winning formula of this football game, but it is going to be a tough game. I love the fact that, again, that the Bengals right now, it looks like we're going to go over the injury report, but it looks like we're going to be getting quite a few guys back for this football game too, and that's really going to help.
Yeah, one other thing I want to add about Belichick, I realized looking at his roster breakdown, it's pretty amazing. He loves tight ends and he loves defensive backs. He has a total of 12 DBs on this roster, 6 safeties, 6 cornerbacks. Listen, they got big boys up front. They want to control the run. They try to do that with their middle linebacker and their defensive front. He might play 6. He might have 4 safeties out there at one time. And, he's going to try. You just mentioned it. Only 6 TD passes they've given up all year. Listen, this is going to be a chess match with Zach Taylor and his offensive coaching staff to try to get some points out of this. It would be great to have our defense win the turnover battle, get a couple interceptions on Mac Jones, get us some good field position like we did last week against the Buccaneers. Yeah. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be one of the toughest games during this stretch. But like I said a few minutes ago, we're going to pull it out.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, Maan, I know you think it's going to be a close game. I'm not saying it's going to be a runaway. I don't think it's going to be anything like that, but I do think it's going to be a lot of what we've seen where even like last week where the game's close and Belichick keeps it close for a while, but we have some horses. I mean, we have some horses in the stable, and New England's they don't have the dudes that we have, and I think that's going to catch up the second half of this football game, but we'll see. I mean, you never know. You said it earlier, Bill Belichick's top 3 coaches in NFL history. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I don't think anybody is going to challenge that. So he's the X factor. He really is. I mean, but we've also seen Zach Taylor play some other Hall of Fame coaches, and Mr. Andy Reid is 0 against Mr. Zach Taylor. So again, I'm very confident in this football team. I really am. I don't see where this is a game that that we have to be too concerned about. Real quick, though, this is. Oh, go ahead.
No. I guess I want to harp on it one more time. I mentioned it. I wish they wouldn't have lost last week. I wish the Patriots would have won, but the way they lost, that embarrassing way, that coaching staff was read the riot act by Belichick. So we're going to get the best of the Patriots this Saturday. I don't think it's enough to beat us, but we're going to get the best of the Patriots.
Well, I mean, and that's one more thing on this is that you don't see that from Bill Belichick teams, right? I mean, that's an enigma, seeing a guy make that kind of a mistake in that kind of a moment. You just don't see that from Bill Belichick coach teams. I mean, they're usually very physical. They're very disciplined. And they don't make a lot of mistakes like that. Again, that was kind of an enigma, but you're right. We are going to get their best. Real quick, I want to throw this out here before we move on. How cool is this? I saw this stat from our guy, Dan Horde, the man. He tweeted this out. If Joe Burrow, well, first of all, I'm going to say this. Joe Burrow has thrown at least 1 touchdown pass the last 21 regular season games. He is tied Jeff Blake's franchise record. And let me say this real quick. You and I have talked about Jeff Blake on this show. You and I are both huge Jeff Blake fans. Jeff Blake never has gotten the credit that he deserves. I mean, nobody would have ever thought, if you would have said, name me the quarterback that has thrown 21 straight games has thrown a touchdown pass, not one person would say Jeff Blake. That guy was a dude for us. He was a dude. I wish we had a better team around him, especially defensively. But man, oh man, Jeff Blake, shout out to you. But if Joe Burrow throws a touchdown pass in this game, he will hold the franchise record for 22 straight regular season games where he has thrown a touchdown pass. Kind of a crazy stat, right?
Yeah, it is, Jake. It's funny you say that. I listen to Mo Egger daily on his radio show, and I think it was him, might have been Paul Daner. When they talk about Jeff Blake, they say Paul Brown Stadium, Paycor Stadium, is the house that Jeff Blake built. Because you remember, we were in that lost decade. He came in, and there was 3 magical years. You're right. We didn't win a lot of games, but they were that tandem of him and Pickens and Scott,
so
Scott
much
thrown
fun
in there.
Ronnie Holman, Ronnie Holman toward the end.
Tony McGee, all those guys.
Tony McGee, yeah.
They were absolutely electrifying, and they were fun to watch. You're right. They didn't have the defense. They didn't have all those players, but it got the fans excited, and you know what? It helped them pass that special tax increase to fund the stadiums. And I thought it was funny how those guys say Paul Brown Paycor Stadium is the house that Jeff Blake built. I think it's funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it does make sense. It does make sense. So let's real quick get to the injury report. Again, things are trending up for our Cincinnati Bengals, right? Things are trending up right now. There's a chance that Sam Hubbard's the only guy that's going to be sitting this week, which would just be outstanding, obviously, to get Trey Hendrickson back. Losing Sam Hubbard, is going to be a tough loss. I mean, he's really good against the run too. So that's going to be a loss there, but getting Trey back obviously is going to be huge. And then seeing Hayden Hurst and Mike Hilton both practicing as well. Again, good things coming. Cam Taylor-Britt, his shoulder thing was a stinger there at the end of the Tampa game. So Cam Taylor-Britt will also be back. So again, this team definitely trending up as far as injuries go. But man, getting Hayden Hurst back, Mike Hilton back, and Trey Hendrickson back. Are you kidding me, Maan? That's huge.
It's going to be very, very huge. Hopefully he can come back and give us some quality snaps. I saw him a couple pictures of him inside the new practice facility. He looked intense and ready to roll.
Oh, man.
Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton. Dave Lapham's podcast, I listened to it today. He mentioned that during the pregame workout during the Buccaneer game, he looked great. They said he probably could have played that game, but the Bengals coaching staff was a little, just cautious. They would give him another week of rest. And he's going to be there. Cam Taylor-Britt's going to be there. Like you said, he had a stinger. We're getting healthy again. Let's hopefully Hubbard can come back healthy for the playoffs. And, in a weird way, listen, we did have a drop off. Anytime you lose those stud players, the replacements aren't as good, but the guys that have stepped in have played really well. And it's good for them to get experience because they're only going to get better, and it makes the Bengals better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, Patriot wise right now, as I said, they're banged up right now. Devontae Parker not practicing still. And then both of their running backs are banged up. I mean, this is a Patriots team that are like everybody else. I mean, at this time of year, everybody's kind of beat up, but the Patriots are beat up right now too. And again, if this Bengals team is starting to trend up and start getting healthy and we start getting some of our dudes back, look out. I mean, look out. This team already, I mean, we talked about it last week. We talked about it this week about, guys having to step up last week against Tampa. And then we saw it on the field where guys were stepping in and playing great football. Guys like Alan George and those guys inside, once Hubbard went down, they had to move some guys around, and Joseph Asai has played really well in the absence of Trey Hendrickson. And I mean, we got guys stepping up everywhere, playing really good football right now. Cam Taylor-Britt and Dax Hill. I mean, he had a great game against Tampa. I mean, it's just really exciting to see guys stepping in and doing that all on the offensive side. I mean, Trent Irwin and Trent Taylor and all those guys that are playing good football. Mitchell Wilcox. I mean, this Bengal team, if they're starting to trend and get healthy, like I said, man, look out, because they are going to make another run at this thing for sure.
Jake, one team stat I want to talk about real quick. We still, unfortunately, we need to get it out of our system. Can't do anything about it. But, the first game of the season against the Steelers, all those turnovers. The second game, we had turnovers, breakdowns. That was a horrible start to the season with the turnover differential. The Bengals have clawed their way back. They're number 5 in the NFL in turnover differential with a +5. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Oh, it's incredible.
It is incredible, especially starting off. How many turnovers did we have against the Steelers? 5?
5.
5 turnovers.
5 turnovers, 7 sacks, Mom.
Yeah, and then we had turnovers in the weeks after that. But for us to flip the script on that and be 5th in the NFL in turnover differential at a +5,
it's crazy.
That's some good stuff. That's where you win 6 in a row.
Yeah, and again, when we see that more in anything with Joe Burrow. I mean, Joe Burrow right now is playing at, again, I really think he's the leading candidate right now for MVP. And I know people going, oh, well, it's because you're a huge Bengal fan, all this stuff. But let me real quick. I don't want to get off track here, but I gotta say this, because we talk about this. The MVP stuff is starting to get thrown around, and obviously everybody loves Jalen Hurts right now, and everybody loves Josh Allen, right? They're the darlings right now of the media. But let me throw out some Joe Burrow stats for you, okay? Right now, the league leader in passing touchdowns, Patrick Mahomes, with 35 at number 1. Joe Burrow, number 2, with 31. That's right. Josh Allen is not in the top 2 for either one, and Jalen Hurts not even in the top 10, Maan, in touchdown passes. Completion percentage, which is a huge part of playing quarterback. Joe Burrow, number 2 behind Geno Smith, with a 68.2 completion percentage. Jalen Hurts is all the way down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Patrick Mahomes is 8. Patrick Mahomes is 6. Jalen Hurts is 7. And our darling Josh Allen, not even in the top 10. Andy Dalton, however, is. So shout out to Andy Dalton at number 10. Passing yards right now in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes 1. Justin Herbert 2. Tom Brady 3, Joe Burrow 4th with 3,900 yards passing. That's right, guys. Josh Allen at 5th behind Joe Burrow. Jalen Hurts all the way down at 10th. Passer rating. Again, this is a big one. This is a big one. It's the only stat, though, that Jalen Hurts is ahead of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is 6th. Jalen Hurts is 4th. Patrick Mahomes 3rd. Passer rating, Joe Burrow right now, a 102.5. But when you look at that stat, Joe Burrow throws the ball a lot more than Jalen Hurts does. So, again, when we start talking about MVP candidates and all this other stuff, and the darling media guys, they love Jalen Hurts and they love Josh Allen. Those guys right now are not in Joe Burrow's league. They are not. I mean, again, numbers don't lie. I'm a coach. I go by numbers, and numbers don't lie. And Joe Burrow right now is the leading candidate in the NFL for MVP as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's valid points. I agree with you. That's a great segue to a viewer question here. Want me to read it?
Yeah, let's do it because Mom, we are going to every week now. We are going to do a listener question. So listeners, please comment, give us a question, because we want to start getting you guys more involved. So who we doing for the first one, Mon? Who is it from?
It's Fred Betts. You pretty much echoed a lot
Fred.
Fred.
Guy Fred.
You've echoed a lot of his frustration. what you just said. But Fred brought up a good point. He goes, "Am I the only one who thinks it's absolutely crazy for some of these national pundits to keep wanting to say Buffalo is better than us?
Oh,
Like, really? We have literally accomplished everything. We have, they have got Allen. We got Burrow. We beat KC at Arrowhead in the playoffs. We are the AFC champions, and we went to the Super Bowl." I'm not going to read the rest of it, but that's the point of his question. It's an excellent question, Fred.
excellent question.
Listen,
Thank you, Fred. Maan, you
yeah,
want to go first?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Listen,
Okay.
you hit a lot of the key points there. Listen, the Bills they're the media darlings right now. Josh Allen, the Bills Mafia has a giant fan base on social media. And listen, ESPN, NFL Network, they've been continually talking about the Bills since they lost that playoff game last year against Kansas City.
That's
Paul
crazy.
Paul Daner, before the season started, in one of his podcasts, he basically said this, and I agreed with him so much. He said the Buffalo Bills get more respect for losing to the Kansas City Chiefs than the Cincinnati Bengals got for beating the Kansas City Chiefs in the championship game. And it is true. It is true.
So true.
Listen, it's just the national media, the national pundits. We've said it on so many episodes. It's just lazy reporting. It's just they're just focusing on things that happened 20, 25 years ago that have no relevance now. Bengals are cheap. The Bengals this, the Bengals that. And let's face it, some of the prominent talking heads on NFL Network, on ESPN, they're ex-players, that played years ago. So they talk about these silly things. Oh, the Bengals don't have Gatorade in their locker room. They have Powerade. The Bengals have small towels for their players. Players have to go to Walmart and buy big towels. That happened back in the 90s. What does that have to do now?
Nothing. Nothing
it's
to
just
do with that.
ridiculous. It's just lazy, and it's whatever. But you know what? It doesn't really upset me that much, Fred, and I'll tell you why. It just, the Bengals feed off this stuff. The organization does. The players, let them doubt us. Let them continually say, "Hey, we don't have a chance. Joe Burrow's not in the top 3 of MVPs." It just makes them play harder. It makes them focus more. And you know what? I'm fine with it as long as we keep on winning. Let those talking heads do what they have to do. Sooner or later, they're going to jump off that and just jump on, and they're going to start framing it like, "Oh, I've always been on the Bengals, train. The Bengals this, it happens every year. We've seen some of these prominent Bengal haters all of a sudden jump on like, "Oh man, they're trying to rewrite history. I was on the Bengals the whole time." There's one national writer, Pete Prisco, that has always given the Bengals respect. He's the one that said when Joe Burrow was drafted that he'll win at least 2 Super Bowls. Everybody sort of laughed at him. Well, guess what? Joe Burrow's already been in a Super Bowl. He hasn't won it, but Pete Prisco, he covered the Jaguars years ago. He was, when the Jaguars were in the same division as the Bengals, and he's tied into Hobson and all of them. And listen, he's a good football guy, and he knows that the Bengals are building something special, and he's always been consistent in supporting them. But listen, just try to tune those guys out, and let's just focus on Zach Taylor and what he's doing and building in Cincinnati.
I agree, Mom, but I'll be honest with you. I'm with Fred, man. I get this topic it just goes all over me, man. I cannot handle lazy reporting, and we're seeing it again from a lot of those ex-NFL guys, right? The Keyshawn Johnsons, the Shannon Sharps, guys that played in the 90s and have no idea or have not watched any Bengals football since, or have any idea what the organization's done, the complete turnover from the organization and all the great things that is going on now in Cincinnati. Those clowns have no idea what is going on. And it's lazy, and I can't stand it. Fred, I'm with you 100%. It baffles me how a team can win the AFC championship, beat the number 1 seed on the road, then go into KC and beat the defending AFC champions in their place, and then beat them again this year in the same calendar year. And the Buffalo Bills have done nothing. They haven't won an AFC championship. They haven't been in an AFC championship. They haven't been to the Super Bowl. I'm talking about, this Buffalo Bills team. And we get no respect. It's just unreal. It's unreal how they, again, I know I shouldn't care that much, but I do. I don't like the disrespect that we get as the Cincinnati Bengals. And I know as a coach and a player, those kind of things you have to let those things go as a coach and a player. But as a fan, you do not. So I'm with you, Fred. Great question. Guys, hey, hit us up again with some more questions. We'll definitely try to get them on the show. Mom, before we get out of here, let's do our picks really quick. Here we go. We got some big games. We're not going to pick it, but Jacksonville at New York Jets. If the Jets lose that football game on, the Bengals clinch a playoff berth. But I love what Joe Burrow said this week. He's like, we don't care about clinching a playoff berth. There's no championships involved with that. I just love that. I love the attitude of this football team. Here we go, though. New Orleans at Cleveland. Andy Dalton goes back to Cleveland. Who wins that football game, on?
I would love to see Andy win it. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to take Cleveland 17-10.
17-10. I say Cleveland. I'm also going with Cleveland, and I'll say 21-14. Cleveland wins that football game. All right, here we go. We got the Atlanta Falcons go into the circus, the clown show known as Baltimore, and plays the Baltimore Ratbirds. Mon, who you got, Atlanta or Baltimore?
You know what? I would love to have Desmond Ridder, a Cincinnati guy, go in and beat them Ravens, beat them good. Listen. I want that to happen, but a rookie quarterback playing that defense, their defense, that's the best part of the Ravens right now. It's going to be a low-scoring game.
It's the only good part.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 14-6. Ravens are going to win. I don't expect Lamar Jackson to play.
I think it's this is a hard one because I just think the Ratbirds are just so bad at playing football right now. But it is tough. It's going to be tough. The Falcons aren't very good either. But I will pick the Atlanta Falcons because I have to, and I'm going to say Atlanta beats Baltimore. We'll say 21-17. We'll go with that.
Hope you're right.
Saturday night, the Las Vegas Raiders go in to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, this week we've lost a good one. Franco Harris, rip Franco Harris. But they're going in to play Pittsburgh as a celebration of the Immaculate Reception. Who you got, Mon? Vegas or Pittsburgh?
You know what? Thinking about that earlier in the week, I thought Vegas is going to win. There's no way they're going to win. They're going to play hard for Franco. The Steelers are going to win the game. I think it's going to be a comfortable victory. Listen, this is not a Steeler podcast, but I got to make a comment. I did hear it earlier today on Cincinnati local radio, and it makes so much sense. How was Franco Harris not in the Ring of Honor already? He was to be inducted. Yeah. This poor guy, he's not in the ring.
Yeah,
He's going to be inducted this week, at the anniversary of the game. Are you kidding me? How is he not in the Ring of Honor? And the guy, his poor family, he passed away. That's a travesty. That's weak. It's a shame. Rest in peace. Prayers to his family. But I think the Steelers are going to dominate that game.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I think I would have picked the Raiders because, the Raiders somehow always beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter how bad the Raiders are. They just have their number, but they're going to play for Franco Harris. There's no doubt about that. And obviously
24-10. I'll go 24-10. 24-10.
24-10. I'll say I like that score, but I'll go 27-14. Pittsburgh wins that football game. And again, once again, thoughts and prayers to the Harris family. Definitely a great one, and it's a sad day. My dad, big Penn State guy, so sad day. But again, rest in peace, Franco Harris. All right, here we go. The Bengals, the big one. New England, Cincinnati, Christmas Eve. Mon, who you got?
Jake, I got the good guys. The Cincinnati Bengals, the future AFC North champions, and the future number 1 seeds in the NFL. AFC.
Yes, sir.
I have the Bengals winning this game in a slugfest. This is going to be similar to the Bronco game last year. It's going to be 17-12 with probably the worst quarterback in the AFC throwing an interception to help the Bengals score a touchdown. They're going to win 17-12 in Foxborough against Bill Belichick. Go Bengals.
Listen, I hope you're wrong.
I did the
Yeah.
throat chop.
I hope you're wrong about the score, because I cannot have that kind of stress level on Christmas Eve. It's already, my stress level on Christmas Eve is already at an all-time high every year. I cannot handle a 17-12 football game. So I'm going to say Bengals win this football game, and I'm going to say they win it comfortably, Mon. I really think, again, I understand the Bill Belichick thing, and I'm the first one to say how tough it is to win in Foxborough. This Bengals team's different, Mon. I'm going to say Bengals win this football game 28-14. 28-14 our Cincinnati Bengals. And again, you know,
Make it
I
happen.
do. I think it's going to be a tough football game. Before we get out of here, though, you know, obviously this is Mon and I are been Bengals fans for over 40 years, but we are also big Reds fans. And Mon and I, we get together, we watch the Reds games all the time, and we lost a good one this week, Mon, in Mr. Perfect. Tom Browning just. I grew up watching him. It's when I became a Reds fan. I became a Bengals fan in 81, became a Reds fan right around 84, 85. And then obviously, you know, winning that championship in 90 was incredible. The Nasty Boys, I had nasty, everything I had was Nasty Boys, the shirts, the hats, everything. I just loved that group, and I loved Tom Browning. And obviously him being called Mr. Perfect is from the 88 game against the Dodgers, where he threw a perfect game. And I think the Dodgers went on to win the World Series that year. And then, you know, he was a dude in the postseason, in that championship run in 90. He went 2-1. I think he had like a 3.6 ERA, something like that. But won a big game in Oakland 8-3. And man, just rip Tom Browning, and thoughts and prayers to the Browning family. Mr. Perfect. I can't believe he's gone at 62. It's just way too young, Mom.
Yeah, he was a great player. It's sad, I'm obviously a giant sports fan, and guys you admired and watched for years, when they pass away, it hurts, and he was always super consistent. He always had fast baseball games when he pitched, because the
Oh yeah.
catcher would throw the ball back and
Yeah.
he'd wind up and go. Drove the batters crazy. That perfect game. Listen, perfect games just don't happen in baseball, and that is very special. And to do that against a very solid Dodger team was
Championship
something
team.
else. And
Yeah.
it was. And you know what? Listen, he's a great player. That '90s baseball team was amazing. They were, the Reds were never in second place. They were in first place the whole year, wire to wire. And they had great pitching staff, great players, and Tom Browning was a key part to that championship team. Rest in peace to him, and prayers to his family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Barry Larkin's my all-time favorite Red. He's the reason why I wore number 11 when I played football and baseball. So I just love that championship team. And yes, thoughts and prayers to the Browning family. All right, Mon, let's go ahead and get out of here. Again, guys, if you like this podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Check us out on Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify, all the podcast platforms. If you like this podcast, please give us that 5-star review. Mon and I would very much appreciate that. Follow us on Twitter at BengalsPulse_9 and on Instagram at the same without the @ Bengals_Pulse9. Make sure you check out all the awesome podcasts right here on the Wincinnati Podcast Network. He is Mon. I am Jake. This is the Bengals Pulse. Hoo day, Bengal fans. We will talk to you about a win on Monday.